Tokusatsu is known for its miniature effects, actors in monster costumes, and overdramatic acting and posing. I have been a fan of Tokusatsu for the majority of my life. I've been learning how to do the effects based on what they used back then and now, as well as combining it with my own ways and making it cheaper. I've decided to make this a test, to make a large-scale model as well as a suit for a full-sized actor rather than a puppet or an action figure. I feel it's important to know the history as well as we go along, to understand why I'm doing this. So yeah, let's get started. The project will consist of two parts: a hero suit in the style of giant heroes of Tokusatsu, and a miniature building for the hero to interact with. And for added fun, I decided to pick a real building, my college's rec center, as I've always enjoyed that design. The suit's base is a wetsuit intended for scuba diving. To paint the suit, I had to figure out what would work. Not sure of the answer, I asked YouTuber Jarius of All, who has made videos about painting wetsuits in the past, and he said that acrylics should work for the project. Shout out to him, thank you so much for your help. The building will be constructed out of foam board. It'll also only be built from one side, as the camera will only see it from one angle. It's rather cold out this morning, so I'm gonna make it kind of quick. In Tokusatsu filmmaking, they typically took pictures of buildings and used them as reference for the miniature model construction. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take pictures of that building right there and use them as reference for the construction of the model. So let's go do that. You coming? Come on. Come on, let's go. We gotta go. We gotta get pictures of this thing. Come on, let's go. Okay, so I took a bunch of pictures. Now we're gonna go around and just make sure I got everything. I've already taken some measurements of the building using Google Earth. And I'm gonna start putting together some blueprints to make the building. After working on the Beast Beneath in my college dorm room, I learned that you don't want to build miniatures in the same place that you're sleeping. So we're gonna work on the building here, in the garage. It's a small one, but it does the job. Here is also the archive facility for our films from the past year and a half, from films such as Ultraman TVA, The Beast Beneath, and the upcoming Kamen Rider TVA. So we're going to be laying out everything and start measuring. Now let's bring in our test subject. So we've designed a layout. We have the height roughly and the length of the building measured out. We mostly used estimates on the height. We did do proper measurements, ratioing scales, and it comes out to about 5 feet long for this model. But we're also going to be resorting to what we want that would look good for the scene. And we're going to just keep working on this, and hopefully we can get into construction tomorrow or Wednesday on this building. Number one question. What is Tokusatsu? Well, put it very simply, Tokusatsu is Japanese for special filming. It's Japanese special effects work. The history of Tokusatsu as a genre can trace its origins back to stage performances, such as kabuki theater. Though Tokusatsu, as we know it, began in 1954. 9 years after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Tomoyuki Tanaka, a producer for Toho Company Limited, was on a flight returning from Indonesia after a failed co-production in March of 1954. On the flight, Tanaka came up with an idea of merging the 1953 film The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, as well as the recent Daigo Furuki Maru, also known as Lucky Dragon No. 5 incident, where a Japanese fishing ship was hit with radioactive fallout from the Bikini Atoll atomic bomb test. The crew and the load of fish were irradiated, creating a scare in Japan, and also leading to horrible side effects for the crew. The film would be tweaked and expanded. The movie would be about a giant monster irradiated by an atomic bomb test before attacking Japan as a metaphor for the bomb itself. Eiji Tsuburaya was brought on to make the special effects for the movie, a fan of the original King Kong, and had been making special effects for Japanese propaganda films during the war. Tsuburaya's original plan was to use stop-motion animation for the creature as a callback to King Kong, but due to the film's budget and release date being set for November of 1954, only a few months away, a new plan had to be devised. Tsuburaya would create a monster costume and miniature sets for the monster to destroy. The monster would be designed to be a combination of numerous dinosaurs alongside the Hibakusha, the survivors who had been burned and scarred from the atomic bombing. This was to make the character obvious as an atomic bomb survivor. The movie was released in November of 1954 as Gojira. When translated, translates to Godzilla. Gojira was a hit, not critically, but commercially, and it led to a sequel on April 24th, 1955. Seriously, it was only like 6 months. After this film, Godzilla was put into hibernation for both in the movie and in real life, but the genre born from Godzilla, called kaijus, literally meaning strange beast, would not stop. The studio that made Godzilla, Toho, would produce many more science fiction films. There was nearly a non-stop production of these movies through the rest of the 1950s, going in through the 70s. Films such as Rodan, The Mysterians, Varan, Mothra, Gorath, and more were made nearly back to back. Alright, now we're down in the basement again, and we're going to start construction of the main model. We've measured it out to about 5 feet long, and I'm going to start construction on it finally. So let's do it. Alright, so I have constructed a good chunk of the base area of the model. Just getting the general outline in first. This is going to be I guess we're going to call this the east side, or the west side of the building. Yeah, this is the west side of the building. This is our east side. This is our promenade. It's going to be down here. So yeah, I'm going to do some more work off camera. Alright, so the model is going well. I've laid down the foundation of the building, as well as the general shape of the patio area, mostly using satellite photography taken from Google Earth. The model's pretty long, about 5 feet long in total so far. It is very, very, very rough at this point, as you can tell. It barely looks like anything at this moment, but it will look better as time goes on. So I'm going to be continuing to work on this thing, so... In 1962, for Toho's 30th anniversary, they released King Kong vs. Godzilla, a massive hit, and became the highest grossing Godzilla movie for over 50 years. This success led to an explosion of Japanese sci-fi and kaiju movies. This era is called the first kaiju boom. In 1963, Eiji Tsuburaya, who had been doing the special effects this entire time, went into business of his own, creating Tsuburaya Productions. This is foreshadowing if you can't tell. Since it's a little out there today, I'm not going to paint. I was going to, but I can't because of the... So we're going to finish up the build here, and we're just going to start getting prepped for it. The kaiju boom continued on with the massive success of Godzilla movies, as well as in 1965, a new competitor, Gamera, the turtle. Yeah, it's a turtle. Gamera started as basically just a knockoff of Godzilla, but soon started evolving into its own thing, a superhero and a friend to all children. This is definitely not foreshadowing. Okay, so we have this put together. I've started putting together the area for the patio, and you could see we have the windows cut out and we have the roof beginning its attachment. Once it's painted, it will look a lot better than it does currently, because right now it looks like a big old pile of nothing. Then, in 1966, Tsuburaya Productions created a television series. Ultra Q, created by Tsuburaya Productions. The sci-fi anthology series follows a group of people, including pilots and a journalist, in their adventures dealing with monsters and strange phenomena. The show was a big hit and started the slower downfall of kaiju movies and led to kaiju TV and later on the henshin boom, but we're not there yet. Alright, we're gonna start painting now. It is Halloween, and it is cold out. So hopefully this paint will stick. I picked up satin brick from Krylon, as well as stone pebble. We're going to be using these as the colors for the building. We're going to get this out and we're going to start painting. We sprayed it with satin pebble. I'm going to let it dry for a few minutes, then I'm going to hit it with the satin brick. I'm mostly going to be hitting these areas on the top. I'm going to be masking off these to get the right shape I want. So yeah. Alright, it's been a couple minutes. I've masked off some of the area so we can spray this up with the brick color. We're also going to be spraying this wall, which has been added magically between edits. Alright, I gotta be kind of quick. I finished spraying this. I'm gonna have to retouch it, obviously, because it's all messed up. And yeah. Later on in 1966, on July 17th, Super I Productions debuted its next series. Ultraman, a special effects fantasy series. The show follows a group called the Science Special Search Party, aka the Science Patrol, and their mission to investigate and stop monsters and other phenomena. Oh, and one of the officers is bonded with an alien named Ultraman that can stop the monsters, but can only has 3 minutes to do so due to the Earth's atmosphere not letting enough light in. Ultraman was again a huge hit and allowed Super I to produce more shows in the coming years. The effects of Ultraman are still felt to this day, most notably in the fact that the show is still running. Alright, so it is around 7 o'clock on November 2nd. We're going to get started with the painting. We did some test paints earlier. As you can see, we're going to start with the silver instead of the green. Enable some lights over here so I can see a little better. Ooh. Okay, so we have sprayed this up so far. As you can see, I have to turn my hands silver from the paint. I'm going to let it dry and see how it looks. We have another can of paint. I've used a bunch of this, and there's a ton of paint dust in the air. So we're just going to wait for it to dry and see, you know. After Ultraman followed Ultra 7, a more mature series dealing with contemporary issues in the country, but also enjoyed by families. Also, the show was a lot more gory and violent than Ultraman was. Here's some examples. In 1968, Toho decided to end the Godzilla series. Destroy All Monster featured 10 kaijus, a record for the time, and would be the final Godzilla movie Eiji Tsuburaya directed the special effects for, as he passed away on January 25th, 1970. This would be the wrap-up of the Godzilla series, ending it with a happily ever after in a way. Oh. It's looking pretty good. I'm fairly happy with that. All we gotta do now is get the green pattern on it. Alright, I have the general pattern applied to it. We're going to spray the lines in with green. So yeah. So I'm going to let this dry for a little bit, and we're going to see how it looks when it's fully dry. Yeah, starting in 1964's Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Godzilla started evolving from the villain into the hero of the movies. This change was fully cemented in the 1970s, when Godzilla basically just became the savior of Japan from the enemy monsters. In 1971, following Tsuburaya's passing, Tsuburaya Productions would create the Return of Ultraman in honor of their lost founder. 1971 was also the birth of something new, something big, something that launched the Henshin boom. Kamen Kamen Rider, adapted from the manga by Shotaro Ishinomori by Toei Productions. Kamen Rider follows motorbiker Takeshi Hongo after he is kidnapped and converted into a cyborg by the literal neo-Nazi organization Shocker. I'm not joking, they are actually neo-Nazi. Hongo escapes and chooses to fight Shocker and stop their evil plans. Kamen Rider was a huge hit and ran for 98 episodes before getting a sequel. Then a sequel, 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 then a sequel. Alright, so I have applied the paper to the back of the building. As you can see, it is going to be creating the backlight of the environment for the scene. We're going to be putting lights back here to shine and create the look of a glowing building. So yeah, I got to finish up this little roof area, and then I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and finish the patio. Yeah, other than that, I think that's it. Following the success of Kamen Rider, Toei created numerous tokusatsu shows, highlights being the long-running Super Sentai series that in the US goes by the name Power Rangers, and Spider-Man, a Spider-Man show where literally the only thing from the comics is the suit. Also, it's amazing. Go watch it. Through the years, Tsuburaya, Toei, and Toho would produce more tokusatsu shows and movies leading to the modern day. Alright, here it is. The pretty much completed suit. There's the murder outline. Also made these gloves. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with this. Alright, this is it. This is basically the final version of the model. There might be a couple changes before filming, but for all intents and purposes, this is it. So, let's shoot this thing. Tokusatsu is a genre that I've loved for most of my life, and it's hard to answer why. My best answer is it's fun and allows people to escape into a world that's very different from our own for a little while, as well as having fun with the miniature effects and costuming. This project has been one of the more interesting ones of my filmmaking experience, having an opportunity to explore why I like Tokusatsu, as well as following in the footsteps of special effects directors of the past. Tokusatsu is something I hope will continue on inspiring and letting people have fun. So that's the history of Tokusatsu, and how I did it. Now let's put it to the final test and see what it looks like.